All right. I'm here almost done with this John Deere Model A. It's from 1951-52. But I did want to share a little about what I learned during the restoration process and the rebuilding process, because some of that information was hard to find online. So here's this video. First off, this is the late model John Deere Model A with the styled and sheet metal grill and such. This one has the trike front end and then a 12-volt generator. I'm flipping this around, but whatever. So first off, here is the serial number, and it starts with a 6.5. So that was the latest version in that year, and that helps a lot with various different things. One of the things that it helps out with is this magneto right here. There are two different types of magnetos. There's a short and a long prong, and that is important because if you get the long prong one and it's a short version, it won't work. And when I say prongs, I'm really talking about this part right here, the longer prong and then the shorter pronged one. I can't remember which one's which, but it's important to measure these prongs before you order them, or else it won't fit. This is the original one I had to replace because it looks all rusty and crap. So that's why I had to replace that. So there's the magneto. The other thing I want to include on this video is the clutch. It uses a hand clutch, which is this lever right here. And when you pull it, it should click like that. You want to adjust the clutch, which is just under this clutch cover, and you just pop it off with a flathead, or you could just pry it off with your hands. It's not on there too much. But under there's castle nuts. There's like 3 of them. And you take the cotter pins out of the castle nuts. You turn them a little bit while it's engaged. That is important. You want the clutch not to be like this, where the clutch pad is riding on it and it's back, because that is disengaged. You want it to be engaged all the way up, and you'll know with the clutch pad out of in mesh with the clutch drum. The other thing I want to note is down here, this whole thing, it aligns with the throwout bearing is what I'm going to call it. So if you don't have it aligned in there, it's not going to do anything. I had that issue, so I had to take it out. All right, what else? Over here we have the water temp gauge plug-in, where it plugs into everything. This is an adapter. It came on the original one, so you had to take that off to put on the new one. Here are the gauges, not really in yet because I have completely finished, but there it is. You have water temp, you have amps, and you have oil temp. Then below that you have this switch which goes in this hole for the lights. So there's that. The generator, that's a big issue of what I'm dealing with right now. I need to get a new regulator, but that's 50 bucks, and I'll get that in a second. So there's 2 different types of generators. There's a 12 and a 6-volt generator. So depending on what you have, you may have to do some Googling. But the later models came with 12 volts. The earlier models came with 6 volts. And if you have your original battery, that will help you out, because if it's a 6-volt battery, obviously you have a 6-volt generator. But it is important to note that there's a difference. So I'm going to flip it around. Here's the generator. It's a brand new generator. I just got out of the box, so it works. This is a 3-post 12-volt regulator. This 12-volt regulator regulates the power, obviously. And if it's no good, it's not going to work. That's what this one is. I don't know that much about it, but I know it's not good because I popped the cap off and it's all rusty. So there's that. These two wires gave me some trouble because I didn't take pictures when I first got it. These two wires run all the way over here to the dash. However, let's see if you can see it. Anyways, you get the picture. They run up and around the fuel tanks, and there are cutouts and holes for them to do so. Then they drop back down to the amp gauge and the lights. That's where they go. So there's that. That's something that I had to figure out the hard way. Let's see what else. Spark plug wires. If you don't have the right spark plug wires, and you have to get a new generator. The good thing about these two cylinders is if you're off timing here, then you can either take this out, this whole magneto out, and retime it, or you can just switch the plugs. That's what I found out online. And then those plugs just run to the spark plugs right here. So there's that. That's how you get spark. How you get air is obviously through your air intake, and then back down, obviously not through the water, but down to the carburetor, and then across in the manifold and into the cylinders. Over here you have to, is your valve cover. You have to lash your valves to 20,000. If you don't, well, you won't have compression. On the other side of the A, you have your air filter and oil bath. It's important you have to have oil in that when you're done. I haven't quite put oil in it yet, but I'm not done. And here's your carburetor, your choke. You have your gas, and then you have your throttle. Then you have your load adjustment screw and your idle adjustment screw. My problem is that this pipe right here that runs all the way up to this three-way valve was clogged. I wasn't getting any fuel. You should get a lot of fuel through that. If it's not, what I did was I took a wire and I punched it up there and I cleaned it out with brake clean, and it worked. Here's your three-way valve. If you don't have one, that's all right. A lot of guys aren't running one, but I had one, so I was going to run it. It just switches between this big tank and the small tank. They used to just start it off with gasoline and run whatever in this tank because it was cheaper back then. So the big tank, as I pointed out, has a sediment bowl. It's important that you get this fitting tight and that fitting tight in between. It hooks up to the sediment bowl. If you don't, it'll leak. What will happen is it'll leak and get all your paint all terrible. What else? This is your clutch, your starter pedal. Reaches down all the way to the starter, which is at the bottom. And then you have your negative cable running to your battery, and then your lights cable is that other cable that you may see. It's a little tiny cable, goes to your lights. The tractor on electrical is positive ground. So that's a little thing to think about, is it's positive ground. Not really conventional of the way we think it. Let me pop this seat off and show you. Whack. So that means your positive cable just runs, I just ran it to that bolt and grounded the whole tractor. That's what I did. And then this one runs this thick wire all the way to the starter. That's where it goes. This is where your power control decal goes. That's where your be careful decal goes. That's another one where your decal goes. Some of them have 3 points, some of them don't. That's all right. The last part I want to mention here, while I walk around for a little bit so you can see all the decals, because that was a little thing I was missing too, is the undercarriage, but we'll get there in a second. On this decal down here, you don't have to have it. We just put it there because we had the sticker and we figured why not. It actually goes up here. If you have an oil breather, it'll be a little canister that sits right here instead of this cap. That's where that goes. it's just saying, hey, clean your oil breather filter every 10 hours. So now we're gonna go underneath. And we're gonna take a look at down here. This is your oil filter. This is your oil pump. And this plate has a gasket on it. I had an oil leak, so I had to replace that gasket. It was annoying. Could not find that online unless I dug for like 2-3 hours. So there's that. I wonder if I'm missing a bolt there. Nope, I am not. This is your water, your coolant drain. And then that's pretty much it. There's a toolbox either on this side, where I have it now, or on the other side by the generator. I put it on that side because it's easier to do. Last but not least, here is your sediment bowl screw, your on-off screw. If you don't have enough fuel in here, it's obviously not going to run through that 3-way valve on the other side. So I just have it cracked just enough so it keeps it full all times. And yeah, that was a lot. So I'm gonna walk back over here, put this seat back on. If I can do it one-handed, that is. And how I normally get up is I just put my foot on this drawbar, my hand on top of the seat, and then I step up onto the axle and use the steering wheel to pull myself up. Okay, now we're up here. Obviously my paint job's not completely done yet. This is your throttle. I hope I don't paint myself because I just painted that. You have to have it a little bit up, and that's your idle. This is to your shutters. Before mentioned, this is your clutch. Your PTO. Yeah, can't reach it. And obviously this is how you shift. Right there. It should. So when you have it running, when you push in, when you disengage the clutch, the drum should stop like it is right now, and then you can easily shift between gears. And you slowly just slip it into gear and then pop it and lock it in. And voila, you're off to the races. Yeah. What I did on this one, this is the choke. You pull it out and you have choke. And then this is down here, your fuel. You have off, which is O. You have gas, which is G, and then you have fuel. And you can just switch it between. That goes to that 3-way valve I was mentioning before. However, we're just gonna run gas in it, so it's not gonna really matter what's in what tank, as long as you have something in some tank. I was looking online, and this choke rod, that word, can go over here, but I kind of like it right here because you have to reach down anyways to turn on the fuel, so it's like convenient. Also, it's a pain in the butt if you don't know where that goes before you put the hood on. I don't know about you, but old metal tends to warp and is not fun to put back in. So if you don't know that beforehand, you're going to take this beast off, and it's like 20-30 pounds, and that's not fun. Obviously, you have your left brake right there, your right brake. As you can see on the left brake, it has this bar right there. That's your parking brake. If you want to park on a hill or anything, you just push it in, and it'll ratchet down, and it'll just hold the brake. If not, you could just have it like this one. And it's disconnected. It just rests on the axle, and voila. Yeah. For the oil, it takes 9 quarts. For the antifreeze, it's 38 quarts, and it's a 5-ish liter engine. So that's a lot for not a lot of horsepower, but it is a classic. I'm gonna do a little walk around again. There's the fan. There's the radiator. while I was walking around on this radiator, I want to point out, you can barely see it in there, but there is a piece of sheet metal that goes down. It's kind of like this. I didn't know where that went for the longest part, and then I found out where the screw hole went, and it just goes right there. As to like block air and like vent air. There you go, you can see it now. There's that piece of
Okay, this is with one side of the grill off. You can see that there's a hose right there. That hose is for overfill in the radiator. It just routes the overfill all the way down under the tractor. It normally has a bushing in there. However, I don't have the bushing. It's just sitting there.
right there. And there's a radiator, and it's a big radiator. It takes up like this whole place. So there you go. Here's my quick little video on the John Deere Model A. Yeah, there's not much to it, and there's a lot of information online. However, my handbook, my manual, didn't have much about wiring, so that may be a common factor. The shop manual didn't have wiring in it, or a carburetor in it. It was just like, if it's not right, we'll set it right. I'm like, thanks guys. But look in there, and then look on forums, and then you should be off to the races. This is like 98% done here. To get a new regulator, then the lights should work, and the amp meter should work, and then I'll clear coat it and have a couple test drives. Then we'll give it back to the guy who's paying for it. Yep. So that's it. Thanks for watching.